Here is an artwork by Lysippos, the official court artist for Alexander the Great. Here we see a man scraping himself. That's the title of this? Ew, what? If you want to be fancy and Greek about it, you can use his name, Apoxymenos. Man scraping himself. Okay. But what is this and why are we looking at it? I know. This is a Roman marble copy of a Greek bronze original. You can tell that by the tree stump here. Also, the poor guy has lost a few fingers. Ouch. And he has these stays at his wrist for additional support. This figure is covered by a loincloth. That would not, or not a loincloth, a leaf to cover his genitalia. That would not have been in the original and not in the original copy. This image here, I'm using it because it's the image in your textbook, but when you see these types of sculptures that have this leaf of modesty, these were added in the 1800s usually as a form of modesty against, the kind of prim and proper ideas of not seeing that kind of stuff. Oh no! And so they were kind of slapped onto a lot of these ancient sculptures. So just pretend it's not there, that you're seeing his stuff. Okay? Okay. Lysippos was the official court painter or court artist to Alexander the Great, and as such, he wanted to define a new order, a new man. Alexander the Great was like no other, and therefore, Lysippos argued, man should change accordingly. Sounds scary, right? New order, changing of man. This statue, the original, was meant as a discussion of the new ideal proportions of man. Does that sound familiar? Ah, yeah. From the High Classical period, we had Polykleitos' Doryphoros, right? And it was called the canon, meaning a rule or unit of measure. And we were supposed to be looking at Polykleitos' piece as the ideal. Lysippos says, ideals changed. Now this is the new ideal. So do a comparison of these two. Tell me, what is similar and what is different about them? Yes, they're both made of marble. Remove the leaf over his genitalia. Now tell me, what is similar and what is different? They both stand in contrapposto. Good. Wait, which one? Ah, yeah. So Lysippos' guy is taller or leaner. Polykleitos is more boxy, square. What about the posture beyond the contrapposto? How are they activating the space? Polykleitos' Doryphoros, we were so excited with this kickback of his heel. But other than that, he's fairly stationary. Lysippos' figure, he's got this beautiful twist and kickback of that heel, and he's doing something up here. Man scraping himself? What is he doing, Miss Cortez? Well, what he's doing... Oh, look how huge he is. Let's see, what's his height? He stands at 6 feet 9 inches tall. What he's doing here is he's cleaning himself. He's just done a workout, and he's using a scraper to slough off the sweat. Ew, what are you talking about, Miss Cortez? Okay, what he's doing was very typical during a workout. Remember, in the gyms, guys, you work out naked in that gymnasium. And then instead of cleaning yourself off with soap, what you would do is you would have some kind of a perfumed oil, and so you would slather that over yourself, or have your slave slather that all over you, and then using a angled tool called a strigil. This is an example of a strigil here. You would run it across your skin lightly, and it would pick up all of this sweat and dirt and grime and oil off of your pores, and then you slap it down. Or you could have your servant do that, your slave do that, and you just stand there and I know it sounds gross, but that was a way of cleaning yourself. In fact, I'm going to tell you now, the ancient Roman gladiators, when they would clean themselves after battle, they would rub themselves with the oil, and they'd save the goo that they scraped off of them, and they'd save it into bottles, and then they'd sell it, and people would love it and buy it. People bought it because they thought it was like an aphrodisiac and stuff. Ugh, gross. I know. So that's what's happening in Lysippos' sculpture. The man is worked out, and then he's lathered up his oil, and he's scraping himself clean. So he's pushing forward. Remember that this would originally have been in bronze, and so the posture that Lysippos puts him in, it didn't require that tree trunk. It would have been extremely lifelike as he balances on that left leg, and his beautiful right leg does this elegant spin, this elegant twist, as his body seems to push or almost like punch forward. And imagine standing in front of him. If you were standing in front of him and he's about to scrape, what's going to happen? Ew! It's going to land on you. So he's activating the space much more than what we see in the Doryphoros. There's this long elegance to his body as well. We saw in the Doryphoros, he's built, but he's kind of like blocky, kind of boxy. One of the reasons for that is because Lysippos has changed the proportions. He's changed the canon. He's changed the unit of measure. Now, remember how we talked about Doryphoros being a 1:7 ratio? Lysippos makes the scraper a 1:8 ratio. You see that? See the difference? What this creates is a longer figure, and those longer limbs have an elegance to them. It's the same kind of visual principles or reasons why, think about like fashion models, like high fashion, they're so tall and they're so lean. It's because the fashion designers, they like those lines that they create with their long limbs. They like the movement that it what's the word? It exhibits, it implies. They like those kind of long limbs, these kind of weird shapes. So Lysippos is tapping into that sense of elegance and movement and grace by having the proportion stretched to a 1:8 ratio. And does the guy look familiar? Open mouth, heavy brow, wild hair. Looks like Alexander. But that makes sense. Lysippos is working for Alexander, so of course he's going to flatter Alexander by making him the canon of beautiful proportions. So what do you think? What do you prefer? Do you prefer the the high classical of the Doryphoros, or the late classical of the Lysippos? Let me know.